Just to put it out on the table and for the benefit of everyone sitting around you, at what month do you expect the Fed to cut rates?
At this stage, we're looking at two cuts from the Fed, one in Q3 and the other one in Q4. So most likely timing will be September and then December.
Okay, then. Rob, do you want to jump in with a question?
Yeah. What's your conviction on that? I mean, most of the economist community has had a terrible 2 years forecasting this stuff. And I think when we put out our numbers, at the moment, we sort of feel like saying, can we also wave a white flag as we're doing this? So how strong is your view on 2? Is it going to take you much to shift to 1, or what will get you moving to 3, for example?
Look, I think it's going to be a high hurdle for the Fed to cut more than 2. Yeah. So, the risk is tilted towards for them delaying. So a lot hinges on the CPI numbers, that's coming up this week. But let's not forget as well, I think policy is overall tight if you look at the real Fed funds rate. So what we're talking about here is, removing the level of restrictiveness in policy. Because I think overall there has been clear signs that the US economy is softening. And the payrolls number on Friday, the headline numbers are very strong, but underlying there's enough question marks around whether the headline payrolls number is telling an accurate picture or not, because the unemployment rate has been ticking higher, and we're getting close to triggering the sham rule, for example. Yeah. So I think for the Fed, the other comfort they can take is perhaps the inflation preferred inflation gauge, the PCE core deflator, is actually much closer to their 2% target than the headline CPI. So, I believe that there could be enough evidence by September for them to, start to cut rates.
One of the things that hasn't got a lot of coverage, but I think it's crept into the odd Fed commentary in the last few weeks or months, is inflation expectations, which haven't quite been going in the direction that they would want them to be going, in other words, down. We've seen a number of the survey numbers coming in on the higher side. I think we've got some New York Fed figures later on today, and even some of the market measures, the five-year forward Fed measure has sort of been nudging a little bit higher. Do you think that has the potential to start worrying? Will we hear more about this in the next month or two if that doesn't start to move downwards?
Look, I think if inflation expectations continue to track higher, particularly if we get an upside surprise in the inflation, then sure, I think that could start to warrant more focal from the FOMC. But I think at this stage, we really haven't seen the FOMC express much concern around that. I think they're still very much focused on ensuring that the inflation numbers can continue to track lower. And don't forget, I think the Fed doesn't need inflation to hit their target before they start easing. I think as long as they have confidence it's heading in that direction. And the Fed's forecasts themselves don't have inflation hitting their target till next year.
And they have a poor track record generally of forecasting things like anyone else.